and so I'd like to thank everyone for showing up this morning. We're going to cover some general search engine optimization topics, and I encourage everyone to please ask questions. Good morning, Rebecca, and if you have any questions, you can send them in to there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can send it in via the chat section there, and afterwards we can always set up another appointment to go over SEO one-on-one as well. And again, if there's anything I go over too fast or too quickly, let me know. Sometimes I get a little excited, so I'll try to slow down. Just a little introduction for those that don't know me. My name's Jose Galvin. I've been here for a couple of years at VIN. Prior to that, I worked for several years in ISPs, telephone companies, and love technology, so I'm excited to share some of this with you. We get asked about search engine optimization often, so we're excited to do this course, and hopefully we can do some more in the future. To begin with, we're going to discuss what SEO stands for. SEO is search engine optimization, and basically it's the process of improving your site's ranking in search results. We always talk about Google. They are the main search engine out there right now. Bing is a close second, but they're number one. And so when I say Google, you can include Bing also, but they're the big market share leader right now. These are the steps, the really general steps for how Google will find a site. Number one, they're going to crawl your site, and what that means is that they will index it, catalog your content. Basically, it's a program that goes out, takes a look at all the text, the words, the images, the whatever media you have on there, and makes note of it. And then it ranks it based on these rules, algorithms that are calculated by the content, the quality, the authority, your location, inbound links, and more. Basically, SEO can be split up into two general sections. Your site's content and the things that you can do in presenting the content on your site, the formatting. And then the other part of it depends on inbound links. In other words, your social media, blogs, directory listings, and things like that. We're going to cover all of these things this morning. Before we do any sort of SEO work, it's just like if you're going to do any sort of work. For me on the weekend, I like working with wood. You get your wood together, your lumber, your nails. Here we're going to prepare the tools for seeing where we are. Some of the free tools available are Google Webmaster Tools, which is a way of communicating with Google. Google Analytics, which is a very in-depth way of looking at traffic on your site. And then there's other sites like moz.com, which help keep track of the different citations and all the different links that are coming into your site. All of these are free, and so if you need help setting these up, we can do this for you. Every time we do an SEO consult, we try and add them to your site, and in many cases, these are already on your site from the get-go. The biggest part of SEO, and the biggest part of it that you can do locally is the actual content. I like to tell people to focus on what you do, where you do it, and what you're good at. If you're a mobile practice, you want to talk about the different locations that you cover. If you're, if you offer, Eastern medicine, you maybe want to discuss that and talk about the different offerings that you do. Folks are looking for that, and then talk about the connections to your community. Other things you can do are things like your page titles. This is a part of your site that shows up in the search engine results. Now we're going to have all these links on here after, so if anyone needs them, we can email it to you or do what we have to do. But whenever you do a search for example, veterinarian in Davis, California, you're going to see a lot of these different sites here and these results. So this part right here is called the title. It's the first thing that people click on. It's the first thing that folks see, this big blue link, and you can actually change that. The page title, and you can do this by, once you're logging into your site, clicking on Edit Menu. We recommend putting in there something about what the page is all about. So for example, on your home page, this is one of our local doctors, Able Pet Clinic, your Elk Grove neighborhood veterinarian, and the home page, versus just home, because that doesn't really give us too much information with just the home part there. If you have just home, then that doesn't tell anybody anything. This, I know that, and I'm not picking on these folks. I'm excited that they're here. I pulled this name out at random. As you can see here, this title just says home, where instead what they should say is the name of the practice and the location. I'm going to try to slow down here. I can see myself speeding up. So again, if you're logged into your site, I'm going to click Edit Menu. And I'm going to replace this with the name of the practice, the location, and I could stop with just home. If you notice, we've got this remaining button here, which means that you could put, a couple more characters. And so if you wanted to, if you have more than one doctor there, you can say something like this. Now, when people are on your site, they're not necessarily going to see that. But when they're searching, they will. Because if somebody does a search, the first thing that they see is this big blue line. And so, hey, this is one of our clients. Look at that. These folks right here, oh, and we have a makeover for them too. These folks right here, if you notice, it says veterinarian serving Davis, Winters, Dixon, which are some of the communities here around Davis, California. So with the title alone, you can go ahead and improve the search by putting that in there. These folks right here, it says Davis Small Animal Hospital, but there's all this blank space here. They could be using that to great effect, and they're not. So that's an opportunity, or a lost opportunity rather, because they could be doing something with that. And again, every page is different. I'm assuming, if you've got a website with 20, 30 pages, 40 pages or whatever, each page is going to be different. The boarding page is going to be different than the About Us. The services page is going to be different than the Contact Us page. So these are some examples here. Again, if you, this page is on our website, and I'll include the link after if anyone has questions. You'll notice that here I kind of switched this around. I put the name of the practice in the middle and the city last, just because Google truncates these. If we go back to this, so for example here, see these ellipses, there's more content there, but it's been cut off. You'll still rank for it, but it's cut off. And so this isn't something that you have to spend a lot of time in. You basically just put the name of the practice, your location, and what the page is about. It's real simple. So we've got, and this is very important, especially to also work on your slugs. I've included this on this page as well. The page slug is the actual URL. So on this one, the slug is googlepresence.pml. That's what this page is about. When you pull this up on a mobile device, this is where this will show up. So if you've ever done a search on your iPhone and your Android, you probably notice that the search results look a little different. These will show just the name of the page and then the slug, but here you'll have 3 of the elements: the title, the slug, and then a short snippet, which is called the description. So all of these things count. There's no magic bullet, but they all kind of contribute to your overall SEO. The next thing I wanted to cover is your images. Images are a huge and important part of your ranking. Google has some guidelines built for us. And if you ever want some great information, this is another free resource, the support.google.com/webmasters. It's got some great information here. This is, I mean, they're telling you this is what they're looking for, so you can't go wrong with that. Although sometimes they get a little techie, and if they do, you just give us a call and we'll translate for you. For example, here we're going to talk about the alt text. And what alt text is it's alternative text that appears on a website that we can't see immediately, but that does show up when you put the mouse over. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and pick on those lovely folks from Muncie. If we put the mouse over, we'll just see that this says sign. All right, now it's the truth. We're being honest here. This is a sign, but that doesn't tell people much. And one of the rankings, one of the algorithms is how many times a search term appears. If these folks want to corner the market for Muncie, PA, and let's say veterinarian, then we've got to increase the amount of times that we have the name of the practice everywhere. So if you're logged into your site, what I'd recommend on this one is to go to Edit Content, and then double-click the image. And right here where it says Image Description, we're just going to put the name of the practice, and again, we're just going to tell the truth. It's important to have the content that's around here be on the page or on the image tag. I've got a how-to on this one as well. This is for alt text, and I've got some examples here as well. So for a staff member, we can say, you know, here's veterinary clinic, Anytown, California. Here's our practice manager, Joe. Or if there's a certain type of equipment or procedure that you offer, you can say, for equipment, veterinary clinic, we offer laser surgery. You know, basically, whenever you mouse over, you'll see that text there. The search engine is going to see that there, and you're going to go ahead and slowly inch your way ahead of the competition. If, for example, there's another vet somewhere in Muncie, maybe they've got Muncie, PA 25 times on their website all told, with maybe 5 pages. If we can leap ahead of them, you know, with 70 or 80, then, you know, that'll help us, you know, point us in the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and see. Okay, good. There's more than one doctor there, so this is great. That way I'm not lying. It's important to be honest. The actual term isn't honesty. What Google uses is relevance. And what that means is if you say that something is going to be there, it darn well better be there. You know, some of you may remember that in the old times you do a search and the stuff that you're looking for isn't there. You know, I shudder to see what's going to show up here. But anyways, hey, look at these guys. They showed up pretty quickly. So a lot of times in the past, when you did a search, it was kind of a crapshoot. It was kind of a gamble. You click on something and you're not sure what it is. Google, for you know, I'm not going to say they're a benevolent organization, but they're pretty good at delivering what people are searching for, and they're doing this by checking the actual content of the page. They're looking to see that the terms actually exist on there, and so I mention this because sometimes I see folks and they get a little carried away with these, and instead of putting in something like this, they'll put something like this. Right, and I mean that's not really gonna work. You'll get a very quick search bounce, and then you will drop right back down because this, unless you're discussing these things, it's not going to appear. And so, you know, try to keep it to what the picture is actually about, what the discussion on the page is about, and you'll do great. You know, if you have a page that doesn't have an image, put an image on there and then tag it. If you've got the staff here, put tags on all of the doctors, all of the staff members. You know, they're all opportunities to go ahead and so, for example, here we can go ahead and again put the name of the practice, so that way folks can, at the very least, you're going to have this name repeated. Normally, if this was a regular conversation, I would ask, how are we doing? So I guess I'll ask that now, because am I going too fast? Are you folks getting what I'm putting down? Well, 18 of you are still here, so I'm assuming I'm going to do okay. Thank you, Carrie. Okay, so here are, again, just to recap, here's the, you know, what they'd like to do. Not so good, alt text, puppy, yes, that's true, it's a puppy. And to avoid puppy, dog, pups, puppies, doggies, etc. Basically, you're going to speak English, conversational English with folks. And instead of keyword stuffing, just tell people exactly what is on that image. And we've got the how-to right here on our website. Next part that we're going to cover is backlinks, citations, and web designs. Basically, there's a lot of talk out there about backlinks. I know that on the VIN boards for years there have been folks that have been under the assumption that, well, hey, if we trade links, that'll improve things. And there's some truth to that, but it has to be, I'm trying to clarify it a little bit. Basically, you know, if you have links, you want to make sure that you've got them, they're coming from actual real locations. I'm going to share this, and this site is, I don't want to set everyone's expectations, but this is a site that the doctor's a consultant that had a site for, you know, literally decades, and they get almost as much traffic as VIN does. This is for marvistavet.com. They've got a great amount of content, original content, actual, you know, a huge amount of resources for folks in regard to all sorts of different, just a bunch of stuff. And these are all original things, so they're going to do good. You don't have to do as much as Mar Vista. I'm just kind of showing them to illustrate the point of how the links work. What I am in right now is the Google Webmaster Tools program, and what this does is it's a way of communicating with Google to let them know updates to your site. Maybe you want to remove a page, or you want them to know that you've updated a page, and they in turn give you feedback on how to improve your site. One of the things they look at are the links to your site. These are the inbound links. As you can see, these folks have hundreds of them. Everything from yellow pages to blogs, WordPress, you know, Humane Society here, all sorts of different things. And so what's going on is that all these different sites are linking back to marvistavet.com, and then they're going to go ahead and improve because of that. Google looks at those references and says, hey, this is a good solid site. It's being cited, cited with a C, and it's a good resource, so we're going to go ahead and give it more ranking. So if you were to do a search for, I don't know, feline diabetes or medical library, Mar Vista shows up pretty quickly because there's just tons and tons of pages with lots of content and lots of stuff for Google to chew on. Sometimes I talk to folks and they say, oh, I've got, there's too much text on this page. Well, yes and no. You want to have something for Google to chew on, because then what they're going to do is they're going to, crawl that. And another part of it is the keywords. So for example, here, Google looks at this. It's done an inventory of all the content on the page. And let's look at cats. If you click on cats, it shows up 3,000 times. That's huge. Again, like I don't know if even Paul could do that, and he wrote the book on them. But like 3,700 words on cats. This is where I'm talking about, where like if you add the image tag, if you add the title, that stuff starts to add up. And so dogs, patient, animal, let's look for animal, 1,453 occurrences. So these, and throughout all these different pages. So the content, Google is real specific. They look at all the different terms that show up. They look at variants as well. So if there's a word that, like for example, veterinary, it'll say 453, but notice that they're all kind of, these are all these different versions of it. So they'll all help each other. If you want to talk about veterinary or our veterinarians, our veterinarian, Dr. Smith, all of those things will count. It all goes into the bucket. And the more of those that Google sees, the better. They will go ahead and reward you accordingly. I'd like to talk a little bit about site design. A big misconception is that Google only counts the homepage content. They count the content of the entire site. If they can find the site and if they can crawl the site, you're in good. You're all right. The homepage should link to your other pages, and then those pages should link to the deeper ones. Again, it ranks pages with original and useful content higher than pages that have repeated content. I'll come back to that term in a second. I know that a lot of you, if you haven't updated the site in a while, you may think, well, what else can I add to this? And there is a lot that you can do. If we look at, for example, where did I put it? Apologize. All right. This is a site that has some good site design because they're set up to have links all the way throughout. If you're on a mobile phone, you notice that the site will change. If you're looking at this on an iPhone or a tablet, you'll notice that the navigation bar disappears, and now you've got what some people refer to as the hamburger, these three lines up here. Well, this is a little bit of a pain. It's a lot easier to just click on things. So if you, for example, click on pet libraries, then you'll notice that there's more libraries here. And if this is on your cell phone, again, you can just click on those pages, and it'll take you to the next. And if you notice, I can keep on clicking, and it's got all this great information. So if you go ahead and design your site, when you're building it, and if you need help, you, of course, reach out to us. You should be able to, without using a menu, get from one part of the site to another using the links. And the links are hugely important because then that way you can get from one part to another. If we go back here to the Google Webmaster Tools page, you'll see that, remember how we discussed the links that are going to your page? Well, the internal links count as well. So Mar Vista, being that it's got hundreds of pages of content, has hundreds of pages of links. You don't need hundreds of pages if it's a smaller site. But what you do want to do is connected pages. So for example here, there's a link to Pet Medical Library, but other than that, there's nothing there. What we can do instead is maybe add links here. And if you're not sure how, I'm going to show you how right this second here. So for example, about our veterinary practice, we click the link. And then we'll go to About Us, since this is the top level menu. And just because we want to increase the terms for veterinary, let's add veterinary services here. Let me slow down. Here's how you do the link. You highlight the text, you click the link, and if you're linking to another internal page, under link list, every page on your site will automatically be here. So all you have to do is scroll down. Now these folks don't have a services page. Oh yes, it is. So it's under services. So we're just going to click that. And save our content. So now if someone comes to the page, they can click this, and it'll take them to this site. Now this page is still not connecting them, because under About Us we see staff, services, hospital policies, privacy policy, and hours. Because I like to save shortcuts, I'm always looking for stuff. I use the sitemap. And I just copy, and I go back. And then what I can do is we can kind of introduce these things. You can make a sentence and include the links, or you can just tell folks that the links are below there. So all right, it's not exactly Steinbeck level writing here, but it does the job. We're telling people what's there and how it works. So here is the difference now between this and how it was a second ago. If you were to pull this up on your cell phone, before you couldn't get to the different pages. Now, instead of using this to navigate, somebody can just click on this and then click on this and learn all about the staff. So that connection, being able to connect one page to another, helps Google, because their automated system can then find the different pages on the site and thus index them or catalog more of them. And it also helps humans because, as you know, more and more folks are using smartphones, mobile devices, iPads to get their information. And so, whatever you can do to make things easy, or easier for the visitors to your site, will pay huge dividends. And you don't even need to be a web designer to understand intuitive web design, website design, and website navigation. You've been to websites. Everyone on this call has been to our website, to VIN, to whatever other sites you're going to on a regular basis. And sometimes you're going, well, who put this thing together? It's kind of an instinctual thing. Okay. Everyone okay with everything so far? All right, we're going to go on ahead now. The last thing is to talk about responsive design. We've got this. All of the new eVetSites templates are on a mobile responsive site design, so you should be able to have your template go and modify and change depending on whatever device you're on. If you're not on a mobile responsive template, please let us know. We can do a makeover for you. It's no extra charge, totally free, and we'd love to put you on that. Robin Cloud's asking, how important is a sitemap? Sitemaps are very important. Let me go ahead and switch over really quick here. There's two sitemaps really quick. Oops. Sorry about that. So let me make sure I differentiate between one and the other. So there is a sitemap, which is the one that I showed you here, which is a navigation that kind of shows people, well, here's the different pages, and here's how to get to them. And then there is the sitemap of that you share with Google Webmaster Tools. All of our sites have a built-in sitemap. So I'm going to pick on Muncie Vet Center. Thank you for being a willing participant. I'm going to go ahead and add these folks to Google Webmaster Tools, and then I'm going to add the sitemap and talk just for a short bit about it, since Robin's asking about it. What a sitemap, the other sitemap with a that's not two words but just one, is a way for Google Webmaster Tools or this thing is really not participating. I'm going to pick another one here. How about these guys, 5 Corner Vets? All right, so the sitemap, all one word here, these exist, and what we're doing is on every site, you have one available at sitemap.xml. Whatever your page is, if it's on eVetSites, if you add sitemap.xml to the end of it, you've got one built in. It updates automatically every time you add a page. It only shows the pages that are visible. If you have a hidden page, it will not show up there. And basically what you do within Google Webmaster Tools or other analytics type programs or platforms is you're letting Google know, here's how many pages we have. So in this case, they submitted 27 pages, and every single one of them indexed. You're telling Google, here's all the possible pages, and we'd like you to please come take a look at them. And then hopefully what happens is, Google finds them. Sometimes they don't find them. I've got one client where we're working there a new practice, and the indexing goes up and down, and that has to do with site design. It has to do with how the pages are put together or whether the links are there or not. So these things kind of tie in together. But the sitemap is already built for you. You don't have to create anything. Whatever your domain is, if you're on eVetSites, then you have a sitemap built in. So for example, if you wanted to see what one of these looks like, I can show you here. And basically it's just, they're important because they're telling the search engine, here's the latest site. And so that's the importance of it. It helps keep the search engine updated with it. So for example, here they've got these different pages, and these are the pages that Google can go and search for. Wow, look at the name of this title. Dogs need strong leadership, dealing with dominant aggressive dogs. So that's what the sitemap's all about. And if you folks have more questions on that, let me know. We'll be glad to help. All right, we talked a little bit about Google Webmaster Tools and Console. I just want to talk a little about those resources. Again, these are free. Well, obviously you're paying for us, but there's no additional cost to set up a console. There's no additional cost to set up Google Webmaster Tools, Google Analytics. In addition, VINX offers a reputation management tool which helps with the reviews and with the citations. So, we can talk about that. The Moz local search, it finds internet listings of your business. This is one way to correct incomplete listings. So for example, right here, and I'm not sure if everyone can see on here, this is Midtown Animal Hospital, Dr. Katie True. They have a presence on Google+, Facebook, Foursquare, Superpages, and a few other ones. Looks like they're missing one here, so they're not quite up. The folks at Moz are a search engine. I don't want to say they're a clearinghouse, but they do conferences. They offer products. They're trying to sell you the work, but you can still get benefit out of this product, and you don't have to pay a cent. It's a free product. If you go to moz.com/local, you'll see the listings made easy. Because I've been picking on these guys all afternoon, I'll continue to do so here. So for example, Muncie Veterinary Center, we're going to look for them here. And put in their zip code. And if you remember earlier, I was talking about inbound links. This is going to check for those. There's going to be a baseline of inbound links that folks can, that are going to be beneficial to you. You want to make sure that you're on, social media, most of the major directories, Yahoo, and the like. And this is this isn't the only one. There's other directory listings out there, but this one has a nice clean interface, and for the most part, it shows all the ones that are free. So now that we've put them in, we see that they're on Google+. We see that they're incomplete on Facebook, and then they've got all these other ones. If, for example, Bing needs to be updated, you can just go ahead and click on it. So where is the Bing one here? So there's no listing found on Bing. Here, there's a button to create a listing. And so what you would do is then begin this process. In most cases, it's pretty simple. You claim a listing, you complete it, and then you verify it. Often there is a robot that calls to practice, or they'll mail you a postcard to make sure that you're at that geographic location. And then you do the same thing for the next one. It's not very glamorous, but it's not very technical. If I tell people just do one whenever you can, and then you're going to get these free inbound links. So for example, here they've got their domain name. Here's one. Their Yelp does not have a listing. And this is free advertising, right? I mean, this is a free opportunity for them to go ahead and talk about it. Oh no, there it is. I wonder why it's not working. Maybe they need the So these links here link back to your site, and again, having those different citations will help. You don't have to pay anything for this feature. What they do charge for is doing that grunt work, getting the email, filling out the form, choosing another password. I know we're sick to death, everyone, of passwords, but that's basically what you're doing is you're setting up another account. And what you can do is you go through and just see if they have them, and then also check for consistency. If you notice, some of these are different. This one says Muncie Vet Center. This one says www.Muncie Vet Center. Now, you may not think, oh, well, that's what's the big deal? But that consistency will help out because they're all feeding into each other. These different directories, Yellow Pages and Super Pages and all that, they all sort of cross-reference. We've got I had a client that they just started out maybe like 6 months ago, and they went from going to nothing. Literally, there was nothing on here, to now they're like 75–80% because they went ahead and they put the work in, and they're now showing up on searches, whereas before there was nothing because according to the internet, they didn't exist. And so you have to let people kind of know you're there, filling out these different things, and that'll improve your search. Okay, some more stuff about content. A review of the link. Okay, I wanted to talk about original content really quickly here. On all our pages, and you may have heard this from other folks. Templates are bad. They're bad for SEO, etc. Well, let me go ahead and clarify that. All sites are built on some sort of a template. It's kind of like if you build a home or you're doing any sort of home improvement. There's always 2x4s and sheetrock and split screws, and there's these universal parts to it. Just because you start off with things that are the same or with similar content doesn't mean that's the end result. If we give you some text when you're just starting out, that doesn't mean you can't change it. These folks right here use acupuncture, needles, injections, and all these other different things. And so they're also talking about the different applications. Medication, surgery. This is all original content. This is not something that we wrote, and so you can tell your story. You don't have to be, like I mentioned, you don't have to be a Steinbeck or Don Draper to write good copy. You just have to talk about what you do and where you do it, and maybe expand on it. Go into the details and include an image of what you're doing. For example, here's this doctor with a dog, and this really illustrates the point more than it's adding. It's all kind of adding to the overall content on your page. And when Google sees it, it says, okay, this is original stuff. This doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet, and so it's going to go ahead and reward it accordingly. Your location, the communities that you service. I talk to people all over the country. I talk to people in Canada. I talk to people in the Caribbean, and it's fantastic. I love hearing about the different communities, the different places that folks are at, where veterinary practices are. I love hearing all the different stories from practice managers about, okay, yeah, we're on this island and people have to take the ferry to come over here, or we get a lot of tourists, and so we do a lot of boarding or whatever. Every practice is unique, and so you want to talk about the things that make your practice special, and brag about yourself. Go ahead and blow your own horn and talk about the things that you offer there, and change the content that we've got on there, because that's going to make a difference in terms of Google finding you. Here are some questions. When we do look for Google's most frequent searches, we can use such terms. All right, here's a question from someone. I apologize, I can't see it, who the asker is. Oh, it's Robin again. Robin is getting the class participation one here. Let me pull this one up. All right, in Google, she's asking, where do we look for Google's most frequent search terms so we can use the same terms? For example, we do ultrasounds, but don't come up in searches because we don't use the term pet ultrasound or dog ultrasound. If we want to use the terms that are actually searched by public, how do we know what those terms are? Okay, perfect. That is where Google Webmaster Tools comes into play. Within Google Webmaster Tools, there is a under the search analytics, you can actually click on the queries, and I won't go into all of these things, but under queries, that's what you're asking about. So here's, somebody's searching Mar Vista Vet Animal Center, and I'm just going to do this by the clicks. These are the things that people are typing to get to this page. These are the queries. And so sometimes people will, and this is the conversation I have with if you've ever talked to me on the phone, you've heard me say this, everybody searches for things differently. So I can't say these are the most popular search terms. You just kind of have to cast a wide net, use as many terms as you can to kind of get to folks that are on there. The most frequent search terms are going to be up here. These are the ones that generate the most clicks. And so when we install Google Webmaster Tools, we can have that conversation. We can talk about what it is that you want to show up. If you want to go ahead and show up for pet ultrasound, and you can use different terms for it. It doesn't have to be that you only, you can use canine or feline or whatever. There's doctor speak, and then there's lay people speak, right? Me as a techie, I'm always translating stuff from this total geek speak to just regular English, and you as doctors and practice managers and vet techs are translating, this veterinary speak into lay people speak, right? So these are the things that people are looking for. Wow, look at this, 28,000 impressions for aspergillus. Aspergillus? Really quick, just want to let you know that the question is now listed in the screener if they want to review what was asked. So if you guys want to do that one.
We had another question come in, Jose, too, from Carrie.
Yes. Robin, if I hope that clears that one up. If not, then of course we can set up a time to discuss more in depth. I think that the Google Webmaster Tools will definitely be the key, though, because then you have an idea as to what other people are doing and searching for. There's a question in here from Carrie.
So Carrie says, if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by everything involved in SEO improvement, where best to start? What's the ideal first step?
Okay. So here's what Carrie asks. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by everything involved in SEO improvement. Where best to start? What's the ideal first step? First step is to call us. We'll set up a time, and we'll help break it down for you. If you don't have a Gmail account, get one. You can set up a Google account for free. And so, for example, to sign up, you can go ahead and go to accounts.google.com and go ahead and get yourself one. You don't have to do it at Gmail. If you wanted to use your current address, you could do, Jose at whatever.com or, front desk or whatever. We want you to get the Gmail account because then we can begin setting up the tools. Like I mentioned there, at the beginning of this, we want to begin tracking these and getting a target for everything. So once we have that, then we can go ahead and look at it, and we can see if things are improving or not. So, for example, these folks right here, they submitted 63 sites. We've got one error. I'm going to have to look to see what happened there. The best thing to start then is to get a Google account. The second best thing is to jot down what it is that you want to show up for. Sometimes people will say, well, hey, I want to be #1 for canine boarding Sacramento. Look at the competition, and then when we have a conversation, you and I, we can look at it. And let's say we're gunning for the petin.net. Well, then we got to figure out what these guys are doing, how many pages they have, look at it and see, how their site is doing. If this were me, I would say, well, let's add some image tags, right? Because we have this nice gallery. It's a little disorganized, but I would add text to that. And then I would look at your site, and I'd say, hey, we need to add a gallery of dogs, or link to these things, or look at the social media. But the first step I would recommend is to get a Google account just so we can do those sorts of things, and then also to sign up. And if you already have, I know that there's a couple of you that I'm going to go ahead and hopefully speak later, Corinne, and I see some other familiar faces in here too. Let us know. This is the form here, so we can get this all squared away. Does anyone have more questions here? And you're welcome, Robin. Again, VINX has some great resources. I invite you all to take a look at their product offering. This right here is a fantastic starter guide from Google. The presentation is we're gonna go ahead and the entire recording we're gonna put on YouTube and then put it on our site. And then, if you'd like, I can go ahead and these slides that I've been working off of, I can certainly email that to you afterwards, of course. Look at that! It's an hour. I didn't even get to social media. Maybe that will be the next one. If you're not on it, get on it. You don't have to be on all of them, but for sure be on Facebook. All right, well, if no one else has questions, I'd like to thank everyone for sticking with me and for joining us this morning. Appreciate all of you. Just to recap, SEO does have similarities with veterinary care. There's no instant cure. Sometimes we have to wait. We'll install Google Analytics, Google Webmaster Tools, submit a sitemap, and the site won't catch. You're still on page 2, and it may take a couple of weeks. It all depends. But checkups are important. You got to continue the treatment and believe in the treatment plan. And another final thought, Google no longer uses the keywords meta tag. They just use the content on your page. All right, folks. If no one else has any questions, again, thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone sticking around. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us, support@eVetSites.com. Give us a call, 888-332-5316, extension 2. Please like us on Facebook. We would love to have more likes. And our new team member, Alex, is at the helm of that. We are at facebook.com, eVetSites. Thank you all. You have a great day.